10th, 2024. Please be advised this open meeting may be broadcast live via Westford Cable Access TV and recorded for playback online. Video on demand is available if people want to see the link that's at the top of the agenda. Attendees are reminded that by attending this meeting, you consent to your likeness and audio being used and rebroadcast by Westford Cable Access TV. So the first agenda item is open forum. Do any members of the commission have items for open forum?
Yes, the Agricultural Commission was wondering if they could post a sign outside of the community garden for potential people to rent a plot or lease a plot.
Register for
a plot, yes.
Okay. And
Was it the Agricultural Commission or was it the Westford Community Garden?
It was the community garden, yes.
And they're accepting applications for a plot? Is that what it is?
At the Community Garden at the Dayfield. I did check with the building commissioner just to see if there was any regulations related to I think they propose a 2x3 kind of realtor sign, and the building commissioner recommended that it be set back from the street about 10 feet, just so to not impair driving conditions. So,
I mean, advertisement for register for plot. Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, the building commissioner, there wasn't any zoning regulations related to that. So.
I just wanted to ask, do you have any contact with the Agricultural Commission at all?
I'm still the liaison, but I don't go to the meetings anymore.
Well,
so
they can't have a meeting.
they don't
They don't have a quorum.
They only have 4 people. And I'm just wondering where they're advertising, because I can't believe that people wouldn't try to go on the committee.
They have 4, they have a quorum.
No, not yet. Depends on the number that is when they
I thought
start the committee.
wasn't it a 7-member
They
board?
need 5 in order to have a quorum there. I just know that they just need, I don't know where they're advertising. They should do it in the town manager's newsletter. They should do it in a few other places. So maybe you can pass that where you want.
I will. Thank you. You're welcome.
And you'll get back to the Eric from the community gardens about the feedback from Matt.
And we're all good for the sign as long as it's 10 feet from the
Yeah,
road?
the commission's, there's no opposition from the commission.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything for open forum? Matt?
No.
No. Do any members of the audience have an item they'd like to bring up at open forum? Okay, moving on to our 7:05 p.m. agenda item, we have a public hearing for Osmond, 18 Old Lowell Road.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 10th, 2024 at 7:05 p.m. in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Christine Osmond for the abandonment of an existing septic tank and leaching area and installation of a new septic tank and leach field within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands at 18 Old Lowell Road.
Good evening, I'm Kevin Ritchie from Civil Solutions. I'm here on behalf of Christine Osmond. I guess the executor, she's handling the property at 18 Old Lowell Road. 18 Old Lowell Road is serviced by wells. Let's see. Oh, there we go. So, the 18 Old Lowell Road, it's got a well here in the front yard. The 100-foot well arc sucks up most of the lot. The neighbor's lot, 100-foot well arc there. We've got the buffer zone, runs along here. The existing septic tank is here in the backyard. And the existing, there's one existing leach field here that was probably previously abandoned. And then the active one here is a leaching dry well. There was a Title V inspection done on the property, and the dry well, I believe, is in the groundwater so the system isn't failed the Title V inspection. We're proposing a new septic tank, 2-compartment septic tank, pump chamber, and then leach field just right off the 100-foot well arc. The proposed leaching area is 87 feet off the wetlands. It's basically pushed up to the well arc as tight as we can get it. The plan has been to the Board of Health, and it has been approved by the Board of Health as well. So we've got set of straw wattles and silt fence around the area of the work. They'll basically pump the existing dry well, pump it dry, fill it in, and just abandon it in place, and then build a new leaching area in this area here.
Any comments or questions from members of the commission?
No.
Matt?
What's the scope of clearing for the new, it looks to the tree kind of line?
Yeah,
there.
so the tree lines, it's kind of scrubby, I guess I'd say.
Okay, that's kind of what I, I thought it was, but I couldn't recall, if, you know.
So it's more or less cleared now, I would say. It's just kind of cleaning it up. There's no trees or anything of any size in there to be removed.
Yeah, if the test pits are there, that was my thought. Okay, yeah, I don't have, you know, my only concern is, you know, increasing the lawn area, but, you know, it certainly is of minimal, you know.
Yeah, no, because there's kind of a stone wall along here. And this definitely looks like the lawn area in front of the wall, and behind it, I would guess, is just gonna be kind of left alone, but I can't speak for the next owner.
Would it be possible to relocate the portion of the wall kind of beyond the leaching area, kind of as a limit of disturbance?
Like run the wall out and around?
Yeah. Or reuse the portion that's being disturbed, you know, to kind of set a new.
Maybe, because there's
segment.
probably not enough rock to go all the way around.
Yep.
It's pretty
Exactly.
sketchy wall. It's not really a nice pristine stone wall, but we could have them move those rocks to maybe to the backside.
Yeah, that would be great.
Just so we don't have a little more creep of lawn, is that it?
Yeah.
Are there any comments?
I don't know, though. If you left the rocks where they were, I'd be more inclined to think you'd get less creep,
Okay, yeah, well, I mean,
right?
just,
Because now it's defined here. There's no real,
right, but the
reason to
rock
go
walls
back
being, the rock walls, at least the portion of it above the.
yeah, no, right in here it'll be
Yeah.
removed.
Yeah, so that was my thought.
Okay.
I mean, attempt, you know, the applicant shall attempt to reuse to delineate the edge
Okay.
of the.
Yep, no, that's fine.
That's.
Are there any comments or questions from members of the audience? So Matt, this sounds like a conditional negative determination? Can I have a motion for conditional negative determination of applicability?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on to our 7:10 PM agenda item, a public hearing for Jack and Clara Farmstead LLC, 400 Littleton Road. There- There's something to read.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in La La Land. Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 10th, 2024, at 7:10 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the notice of intent application of Jack and Clara Farmstead LLC for replacement of an existing semi-permanent tent with a permanent two-story structure on existing concrete footings, construction of a deck elevated on new footings, construction of a one-story museum, relocation of an accessible boardwalk installation of an underground stormwater management system and additional buffer zone improvements within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands and an intermittent stream at 400 Littleton Road.
Good evening. For the record, Russ Tedford, civil engineer with Hancock, working for Kimball Farms on this project. So over the past few months, we had discussions during the RDA process. So the board is very familiar with this project. So with our new plan, few revisions that we made coming in with filing the notice of intent is removing any new disturbance within the 30-foot buffer zone. Previously, I believe the last iteration of the plan had the existing boardwalk on the west side as being replaced in the footprint of the old one. Now we've just moved that, shifted it completely out of the 30-foot. The old boardwalk is to be removed and abandoned, and the area where the area of its footprint is to be applied with the New England wetland soil mix post-construction. And additionally, we're thinking about mitigation for the 4 trees removed, and is to just summarize, there was an elm and a poplar that were cut down, and then there's a maple that's actually in the wetlands that is leaning, bent over, presumably not dying, as well as there's a triple trunk in the rear of the building. One of them is dead, so that was going to be pruned as well as taken down. Also, just add that we're proposing to leave the maple in the wetland as a snag to provide habitat for to whatnot. And in order to mitigate these loss of trees, we are open to work with the commission as well as Matt on species, a location on site where you would like to see mitigation of some sort. We were thinking, saplings as a replacement, as restoration in an area within the buffer zone that's currently on site. And seeing as this site has a lot of resource area, we can definitely work with the commission and the conservation department to find something that we all are agreeable on. And I think, and I guess from last time too, it was requested that these boulders be replaced along the recharge trench area to reflect the previous notice of intent. Basically what we did was tried to mimic that detail. They're spaced 10 feet apart. And that wraps up our plan changes for this iteration. So we're here to answer any more questions as well as get feedback from the commission.
Members of the commission have any comments or questions?
So I just want to make sure that the footprint I'm looking at here is the footprint where the existing temporary arcade goes, this is showing me a platform of 116.8 feet by 51 feet. Is that the dimensions of the current platform?
So I think if you were to refer to our existing conditions plan, it shows that dimension being 115. Yeah, it should be there. It should say 50 by 115. It's a little
Washed out.
Yeah, so the way that the tent structure now is, it basically just goes, whatever, the studs that hold it up goes straight up. In this case, there is a little bit more overhang on each side to accompany the deck, and that's why you see that 1.8 feet change.
So is the deck
The
bigger or?
the floor deck for the first floor.
You mean
Increase the size of the floor deck.
So what you're saying is that the proposed first floor is now 1 foot wider and 1 foot longer than the.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because it seemed like this was slightly larger than what the original one was.
Yeah, so that was just the architectural plans that we received, and they showed that dimension. Obviously, if it's a you know, a concern with the board that it's extending that 1.8 feet, we can ask our architect to revise that to make sure its footprint is shortened to that 115 from the previous structure.
So that it meets the same dimensions as the
Correct,
previous
yes.
structure? Okay.
Now, originally, what's out there right now, what's currently being used, the temporary tent structure for the arcade, I mean, was supposed to be put in the parking lot, but we were told that they needed to build this platform way back when to put that tent on. So this was built strictly for a tent. You know, the fact that this might have been over-engineered at the time, I'm not quite sure why, and I'm not quite sure if this was ultimately the intent all along. But the platform, as I remember it, was built for the arcade, which is seasonal structure, a tent. I mean, this proposes an intensification of use that was never anticipated previously. And we were under the assumption at the time, at least I was, that nothing further was being proposed other than that temporary structure on this platform. I just look at this and saying, okay, that, you know, what was being proposed in its temporary use, and now what's being proposed, which is a full-time year-round use, is just too much for, you know, being so close to the resource area. You know, I'd be inclined to say, you know, if they're looking to intensify the use here and move beyond, then I would say find another location for your seasonal tent and take this platform out, because this platform was never meant to be used for, you know, to be built on for a year-round dwelling. It was simply a platform that was built for, you know, a tent, not even a temporary structure, but a tent.
And one that we didn't approve in the first place.
Right, that we basically had to accept, because we were told at the time it was going to be more harm to the environment to move what they had built, this platform, than to leave it in place. And I'm inclined to say, I don't know if I would accept that argument anymore. And if they're choosing to intensify the use, I would say find another place for the seasonal tent and remove the platform, and then put it back to its pre-existing condition.
Or it, with the future use that they're planning, find a more appropriate location that's not as close to the resource area.
That's another way to say it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because it sounds like we're going beyond the tent. They have needs that the tent and the platform can't meet. You know, meeting that need with a structure in another location.
You know, I'm having to remove trees in the resource area, at least in one instance, you know, to accommodate something that's hanging too, you know, potentially hanging too close that may somehow impact the building. I'm like, at what point do you say enough's enough? I mean, we said that before.
Okay.
I could just answer that, the tree question, because I wasn't present on the site walk and this was brought up before, but I believe the commission pointed out that tree to be removed because it was in disrepair and it was folded over, so it was really, the applicant put it on the plan under the guidance of the commission, so.
And I will probably put my hand up because I have seen so many cases coming forward with people a couple of years after a project coming to us and say, this tree is putting my structure at risk. And so we've gotten very much into looking forward that way. And one of my questions was, are there any other trees in the resource area that you can see 5 to 10 years from now will have grown, and then you're coming back and saying, this is now, you know, this now needs to be dealt with because it presents a risk to our structure. You know, it's just, the trees are not going to stop growing. We're probably going very easily seeing similar issues with other trees because it's so close to the resource area.
And then they'll be seeking an accommodation due to, you know, perceived risk of injury, you know, and I'm
perceived
sorry, you
risk
know,
of
in that
damage.
instance, I'd say, then don't build so close to it.
Okay, you wanna,
I just wanted to add that in response to that concern at our last meeting, we had an arborist go out to answer that question, and we have a letter from the arborist answering the question that he does not foresee any need to have future trees removed. He would recommend a pruning, systematic pruning maintenance plan
in the resource area?
in the
I believe so, yeah.
existing dead limbs on the existing trees.
Would you please introduce yourself?
Oh, for the record, can you tell us who you are, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Cheryl Gould, I'm the attorney
Yeah.
for the environment. I sat back to let the engineer do the present tonight.
Any other comments or questions people have? No?
What do we feel about the museum? It's one floor. Most of it is outside the no-build buffer. It's still in the 100-foot. I don't anticipate as much traffic because I don't know how many people use the museum as opposed to an arcade and a function room. So it's more a question to the commission. What do we feel about that?
You mean like redesign it so the activity is up more over here and not down here?
Oh, no.
No. You're just,
In on itself.
you're asking about
Just the museum.
the way the way the museum portion is proposed.
I think that's certainly less impactful. It's not the thing that immediately, raises concern with me. I mean, the majority, it's outside of the 55 no bill.
Right. And it's, right now it's open, so they'd just be covering it, and I think it has historical impact, if nothing else.
How used is that?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so some of the points that struck me as reading through is in the Hancock letter, the existing conditions, it talks about the existing structure having been permitted through the NOI process. What that paragraph does not state, and I think it needs to be part of the record, is that the NOI filing was in response to an enforcement order issued because all of those 96 sonotubes were placed in the ground before being permitted. So it's not that the structure that's here was reviewed and approved before any construction. So I think it's important for the record that,
Say it.
yeah, to say it, that this is not something that we just, that it was not a proposal brought in before construction that we
It
approved.
was an after-effect approval. I mean,
Yeah.
it had been constructed.
Matt, can you go back to the
Plan.
proposed, yeah, because the other question that came up in our discussions back in, I think it was December, is where you're showing the access ramp now is where the access ramp was proposed in the NOI filings that were approved in 2011. The existing ramp is then built in a different location, and my understanding from the conversation was because you had to be able to meet the grades for ADA compliance in terms of the slope of the ramp. My concern is going back to that original location, are you now able, in this, going back to that location, to meet those ADA slope guidelines, or are we going to find ourselves in a situation again where, yeah, you could build it there, but that's gonna create issues,
Where the
But-
ramp can be to,
yeah, because
accommodate
purpose of
the
ramp is
ADA
to-
compliance.
Is to enable, people with mobility challenges to get to the bumper boats. And so I'm really concerned if I'm seeing us go back to something that had to be changed 10 years ago.
Yeah, we've looked at grade on that boardwalk, and we think that we can make that work. Yeah, we feel as if, that, a configuration can be made in this, the way that we're presenting it, that meets ADA requirements for slope and.
Okay. And then my last question is, because we're not seeing roof detail here, given the heavy snow that we sometimes see, the weight of rainwater on top of it, how is this roof going to be pitched, and where is snow going to go snow and/or precipitation going to go when it slides off the roof? Okay.
Yep, no, I was just waiting to jump in there. So this arcade structure itself is a typical, gable roof. where basically we have gutters on this side, and then a collection. We're gonna basically collect water through here because this also is pitched in a way back to front, and so everything up in north of the wetlands is going to be able to be put into the underground infiltration system through gutters and downspouts.
So from the,
But yeah, so the portion closest to the wetlands here, we feel as if the elevation doesn't work, we can't gutter that and send it to the infiltration system. We just wouldn't have enough cover, and we'd have to bring in fill. It just wouldn't make sense. So that's why we're maintaining the recharge trench along the rear here, as a, we'll repair this as need be, install the boulders, and then we've detailed it such that the recharge trench is to be placed to capture stuff from the drip line. And,
so if this building is not in use over winter, presumably it's going to be kept at a fairly low temperature so that any snow on the roof will melt gradually. What I'm thinking about is the scenarios we see where there's a significant snowpack on the roof and then rain or whatever causes it to loosen and slide off, and it just, is your trench drain along the edge of the foundation able to handle that large influx of snow coming down and landing on it?
I mean, yes, I think so. It was, that were to happen, we'd imagine that snow would just fall and it would rest on the stone, and then from there it would melt and be able to recharge into the trench. I don't think it would, damage it in any way. If that was your concern, the trench would be damaged, or then if the ground would in turn be.
Yeah, I'm more concerned with spillover beyond the trench. The other question would be, I believe you've had engineers look at the weight bearing of this structure. Did those calculations or that analysis take into account the additional weight of snow on a roof of this size?
Yeah, that would definitely be part of their analysis. They'd look into wind and snow, as well as any other type of forces, in order to withhold the structure. I mean, it's kind of expected in New England, sometimes we know snow in the winter, sometimes we get over, 9 feet of snow. So it's definitely something they consider. Okay,
because I also noticed that in the operations and maintenance plan, there's no talk about dealing with snow. So it sounds like the snow is just going to land on the roof and let nature take its course.
Correct, yes. I think typically with a snow management plan, it's more so about if we have a parking area adjacent, whereas here it's mainly going to be cleaning off the walks in the front and along the sides. So storage within the buffer zone is kind of minimal at that point.
Okay.
I'm looking at this plan and I'm still trying to figure this out. I have arcade on the first floor, up here. And then it says proposed arcade and function room 2 stories. And over here, it's proposed arcade first floor only. So is all of this arcade on the first floor, and is the second floor the function room? How is this broken up?
Yes, that's exactly correct. The arcade use is going to be on the first floor, and then the function hall, or the function room, is above it in the footprint of the old tent.
So I have a 116-foot by 51-foot proposed function room on top of a 116-foot by 51-foot area for the arcade, and then on the first floor, and this area over here is also for the arcade?
Correct, yes.
Is that more arcade space than what's currently being used right now? Or is that same layout the same, where this here is arcade and all of this is arcade right now through the temporary tent?
Yes, and Matt's bringing up the plan here now for the existing condition, but yeah. Yeah, and also in that new,
So they don't have an arcade right here, Matt, right now, correct? So that's additional arcade space,
Yes.
in addition to the arcade they already have, and then the additional function room on the second floor.
Yes.
Okay, so we're enlarging the arcade space by about 30% and adding a new function room on the second floor.
Yes, if that's how the math works.
I'm trying to, you know. You see what I'm saying?
Is this new?
Well, this is where the arcade is now, but this looks like this is gonna be new arcade. This is still arcade, and then on top of it, this whole thing becomes a function room.
So the part in front, is that new?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
It's used for something else, or?
But I think it was part of it was part of your early proposal as well, this expanded area of the arcade?
Yeah, correct. The layout for the floor plan.
Excuse me, my name's Ed Dumont, I'm the general manager for Kimball Farm. The arcade, the actual structure of the arcade for the games on the first floor that's gonna be it for the games in that aspect. The extra width to attaching to, let's say, the bathrooms, the existing bathrooms and that.
Russ, if you can give him the laser
The
pointer.
pointer? Yeah. So you can,
Yeah, that upper area, I think.
yeah, walk us through
Okay,
it.
okay, so this area here, okay, is gonna be adjacent, attached to the existing, bathrooms. This way here, we can put in the catch basins for the water and that, but we also need electrical room, and things of that nature. We also,
So what's there now in that rectangle where that proposed arcade first floor only?
you've got electrical panel here attached to the bathroom, the existing bathroom, which is basically on the outside, it's being covered. We had the walkway, as we talked about, right here.
So this is an open structure this is an open area that is gonna be closed?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So that's what I'm trying to understand. It's like, so that's not even built. It's an open area that they're gonna be enclosing.
Okay, so what we see in the diagram is really the infiltration area that will be subsurface? Is it, when we see those, where you've got the cursor, those chambers, that's not something that's on the arcade level, that's?
No, that's beneath the ground to catch
so that's-
catch all the water.
It hasn't been built yet, but this would be built underneath the building that's not there, that's gonna house that portion of the arcade,
Okay, so that's
I
the,
believe.
so that's part of the stormwater management system. Then what would be on the arcade floor at this level? You're saying that's not where there would be arcade equipment?
No, bathrooms, we've
Okay.
had to put bathrooms here, like I said, in the electric room. We have a station with for the elevator for being brought up on the second floor. And
Okay.
just now on the second floor, there's going to be because we have like a hillbilly hut in the arcade, there's gonna be a hole basically in the second floor that's gonna be, that this hillbilly hut, kinda like, you'll be able to see it on the second floor, so, you're not gonna have all that much space, for large function halls or any,
So there's a center open area on the second
right,
floor
more like
that's,
show, so you can
so
actually.
you can look down
Correct,
onto the
and
arcade.
watch, the kids see the hillbilly hut, and it's just for decorations for that.
It's still enclosed,
Yes.
so I don't care how they use it.
Okay,
It's still enclosed. It's not enclosed now, and what's above it's not enclosed.
you're talking about the
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 first floor,
vestibule.
the proposed arcade first floor only. That doesn't exist.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to get a good idea of what's there, what's being proposed. Is it in an area that currently has an existing building or not? And from what I'm seeing, okay, I've got the lower portion here where they are proposing the two-story structure, which simply has the platform and nothing. And that area above it, I don't believe has any building or any structure. or maybe some,
Well,
you
if-
know,
We have-
structure or something to it, but not enclosed like it's currently being shown or proposed.
Well, the bathroom is in existence right here, and the
I
sawmill.
get that, but it's that rectangle area right there where you're showing your,
Right
your
here.
water chambers or whatever, your.
Correct.
All of that, that doesn't exist.
At
The
this
existing
point, no.
bathroom is outside the 100-foot, right?
Yes.
The new proposed one is inside the 100-foot, and the one floor only,
Yes,
is also
That's,
inside the.
that's in a new building,
Right.
you know, so that's,
But they're
But you're right,
all that's
it's within the
proposed
100.
Inside the 100-foot.
Yeah, but it's outside of the 55-foot no build.
Right.
How many trees are gonna have to come down in that area?
Now, there's no trees,
Yeah,
there.
really, I don't think.
nothing there. This used to be a,
14-inch something.
this here used to be
14.
the sawmill. There was a structure there before we had put this area up. There was, the sawmill extended pretty much right out to this area here. Then there was a catch where the planks and everything all fell out here. So this was an active sawmill, and the,
So you're talking pre-2009, when you talk about
this,
that?
yeah, from 2000, 1960, that's when this sawmill and that was built and had been running. So that's, again, the gentleman who.
I don't remember anything being in the area that where the platform was built to do the arcade tent.
From looking at, I'm sorry, say that again?
The lower rectangle here where the arcade tent is, the 116 by 51 or whatever.
Yep.
I don't remember any other structure being built there prior to them putting in the sonotubes and, you know, prepping that for the platform for the tent.
The sawmill must have closed years before.
Yeah, the sawmill, I believe, was up for, you know, much more historical.
There was, we had to tear down the structure that was here.
So some of the sawmill structure was removed before you put the sonotubes in?
Correct.
Yeah, if I could just.
I don't remember, you know, I'd have to go back and look at some pictures because I don't remember anything coming down before those sonotubes were put up.
But
There was nothing there.
From when we reviewed and approved earlier projects like the bumper boats?
It might have been part of that where we approved the bumper boats, but I don't remember any of that going into this existing area over here. You know, maybe some historic laydown of something, but, you know,
Yeah, if I could just chime in too, on the previously submitted notice of intent, that area of the first floor only arcade was, I believe it was called we called it a mill yard or a mill shed. And it basically was a structure that had just a tin roof on it, and it was removed as part of the notice of intent process. And this area was, you know, quote unquote restored.
was removed as part of putting in the platform for the tent?
It was part of that same notice of intent.
Yes.
Where
Was that a request of the commission to leave that open as part of allowing that platform to be built?
I honestly wasn't part of the, at that point, so I couldn't really answer that.
So it was removed as part of the, you know, the final plan, it was removed, but nothing in our order of conditions states that it prohibits any sort of development further in that area.
Well, and normally we wouldn't, well, normally we don't make forward-looking statements beyond the work that's proposed. You know, you bring a plan forward and we assume that if there's, you know, anything, well,
And it was a shed.
well,
I don't know if it was compensation for, you know, allowing that platform that the tent was put on to be built.
okay.
You know, I don't know if that was a concession. I'd want to have those notes checked to see. Because typically, if something was being proposed, you know, typically it's not being removed as part of a final plan, typically unless the commission requested it as part of some approval. I'm trying to think when, in the past, where we've seen something proposed only to have it removed without us asking for it to be removed. Because originally something was proposed there, and then it wasn't built. I just don't know if the minutes from back then reflect that.
Matt, you looked at the
We-
minutes?
I don't recall specifically. I'd have to look
Yeah,
back at it.
no, I'm just saying, you
Yeah,
know,
we obtained,
complicated history here.
yeah, we obtained the minutes. I'm pretty sure we shared them with Matt with all of the back and forth on the notice of intent, so. We didn't see anything that precluded, you know, that it was a concession that they made. I'm sure it was just a, you know, as part of the final plan that they just stuck with the existing arcade tent. But like I said, we can review that once more.
How about if I open up to the audience for do any members of the audience have comments or questions on this project? Matt, do you have anything?
It hasn't been addressed.
Okay.
I'm not ready to make any determination on this yet. I want Mac to go look and check the records to see if, you know, some of the things that were originally proposed that weren't in the final plan were, you know, because we allowed this platform to be built. Platform shouldn't be bigger than what currently exists. And if there's an intensification of the use, we really need to consider whether or not, you know, we should be allowing any further intensification of the use in that area.
Okay, so if,
Given what we went through to approve it and the length of time that we did simply for that use, which was to be a seasonal use.
okay, so if we want to continue the public hearing with things that we want Matt to
Find it and share.
find or look for, Eric, can you restate your question a little bit more succinctly?
I want to know what was originally proposed here that wasn't built as part of the earlier
Well, I
order
know
of
there was a
conditions.
storage building, but I believe that was more to the west.
Right, but
Was anything proposed for the area
I
of,
believe there was something proposed here that ultimately wasn't built. That's what I just heard in the discussion.
okay. Okay,
So I'm
so,
asking if it ultimately wasn't built because it was a concession that we said, okay, if we allow you to build this platform for this tent, you know, we don't want any work here.
okay,
That's originally being proposed. You know, that's what I'm saying.
so,
Is that clear
so,
enough?
so in that area proposed arcade first floor, you want to know if anything was proposed for there that was then not part of the final proposed plan? Or the final approved plan?
Right, from our previous order conditions that were issued,
In
what?
2011.
12 yeah.
Okay.
And again, you know, think about the intensification of the use.
Yes, I am.
I mean, I thought one of the arguments that during the request for determination was that, you know, the platform is, you know, deteriorating or, you know, somehow needs to be, you know, refurbished or rehabbed. And it's like, well, you know, I would continue to maintain what currently exists as opposed to, you know, having it serve to be, you know, the footing and the base for a new two-story structure here.
Okay, and was one of the other questions that you had raised is what's proposed here, an increased footprint in the location of the current arcade?
And the answer was yes, it had increased.
But, in listening to the back and forth, I think you were talking a little bit about the architecture's rendering versus plans and stuff. Is the slightly larger dimensions here a must-have, or that's just what the architect came up with?
That's what I was gonna get at is, so the architecture gave us the first go-around of his plans, and that was it. We haven't engaged him since. Like I said, if you know, the expansion of the 1.8 feet was, you know, something the board needed to see reduced to 115 to match, then we can certainly kind of force him to revise his footprint to that.
So it's an increase, and they're that
Well,
much,
no, but-
and they're
but
that
what
much,
they're
clo-
saying
right,
is-
and they're saying that, you know, they can go back and re-look at that and probably reduce it down to the original size, but, you know, to answer the question, yes, there was an increase,
Well, yes, but okay, yes, and.
yes.
But it's not, okay, it was an increase and it can go back.
Good, yes.
Yes, okay. Are there any other questions? Jim?
We talked about this last time, and you briefly brought it up at the beginning of your presentation today about mitigation for the trees that are being cut down in the no disturb area and in the wetland buffer, wetland itself. That's one concern I have. I'd like to see what you're proposing or what you're offering for mitigation for those. And then I know we've asked this before about the number of sonotubes that it's currently there holding up the platform that's now supporting people, arcade games, and a tent, right? And now it's gonna be people, arcade games, and a tent, plus a whole second floor of a building, plus a whole second story full of people in a function room.
The engineered,
I understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't see any, I mean, how many sonotubes are there? And there's not gonna be any change to that number, right?
no, not at all.
How many are there?
I believe 96.
96.
96, okay.
Has that engineer given you a report?
It'll be on the report, yes. I didn't,
It just,
we had to dig down and they put, they tested it and so forth, so.
Okay.
That's, we can get that.
you know, because I think,
Had to dig down, what, 10 years ago or down?
No, just out in the, right by the corner of the sonotubes, just to acknowledge the fact that whenever they were put in,
Right, roughly 10
you
years
know,
ago?
yes, sorry, yes.
so in terms of mitigation for the trees that are being cut, you're looking for us to propose location or species, or you've got some proposals of, you know, the applicant has proposals of its own?
Yeah, so we would,
We'd,
Yeah,
you know,
we would look at-
like to have your input.
Sure. I can propose, I can come up with,
Yeah.
I can come up with something that I would like to see done. Sure. Thank you.
So, this was originally built for the tent, sized for the tent, had to be put here for the tent. So if the tent isn't gonna be here anymore, who's to say that we have to have the platform the way it is? Who says that this platform itself can't be downsized to better accommodate its proximity to the resource area? Nothing says it has to be 116 feet by 51 feet. You know, they could take that 51 foot and cut it down to like 35 or 40 feet, and I'd certainly have a lot more distance away from that platform that they want to build a two-story structure on than currently. So, since we're no longer looking at a tent for which this platform was sized for, nothing is requiring us to have a platform of this size to build a two-story structure on. So what I'm saying is, why don't they come back and show us something that's not quite as close to the resource area?
So a reconfigured solution that might give them the features they need, but does give us a little bit more of a buffer.
Nothing says that we have to approve this size here simply because at one time a platform was built there to put a temporary structure. So I'm saying if they want a two-story structure, have them come in and, you know, give us more of the buffer that we would typically seek.
Get it outside the 30. Get it outside the 30.
Well, it just.
Try, show, I mean,
I'd love that.
show me that they,
55,
you know,
Okay.
It
I'm
is a
not saying
no-build.
no, I'm just saying, hey,
That's
there
an
was a reason
option.
why they sized it the way they sized it. If that's no longer, you know, a constraint, they can size this differently. They can reconfigure this.
If
You
I,
know?
it's
Okay.
because of the games that we have inside, that requires the size of what we have. That's the reason.
There's a whole new area for the games, right?
Yeah, I'm not buying that.
Oh,
I don't buy that. I don't have to allow somebody to build something as close as they currently do, because that's the size they want for their arcade.
Excuse me, Sherry William. If I might just interject, I sort of like where you're going with that. I can't remember your last name, I'm sorry.
Eric
Oh,
Foley.
I couldn't remember your last name, Mr. Faley. I think I hear a little bit of concession where you're going with this. And
I'm not trying to say no, but I'm saying there was a reason why this had to be where it was, and a certain size that it needed to be, and all of that. And I'm saying, okay, if that's no longer the case and you want to do something, come back to us with, a reduced plan, so maybe we can, accommodate your needs and provide the buffer that, we're looking for.
So staying on that train of thought, it seems to me that we have 8-foot increments on how those sonotubes are spaced. And so coming.
I don't know. I haven't seen how they're laid out.
I suspect because buildings are usually in 8-foot increments, it's that way. So I'm just wondering if 8 foot back would show good faith on our part, if we can figure out a way to bring it back 8 feet and maybe add to the rear 8 feet or something like that. I sort of like your suggestion that there's a way to solve the problem.
So when I'm looking at this, and I hear what you're saying, then I'd be pretty good over here where I'm at 20. I'd be close to 28. I'd be close to 30. My rear rub is over here where you're at 10.3 feet. And I'm like, I'm trying to get that back. Typically we're trying to get
I mean, no disturb is 30 feet.
25, 26, so there's that's a real problematic point. But yeah, if we could
Had people move
30.
move
We've
their
had
sheds.
people move
push this
things.
back, and
Yeah, look,
thinking
think
that
outside
gets
the
us
box.
closer to yes, than where we are right now.
I appreciate that direction.
Mhm.
I also just want to make a comment that Kimball's been a wonderful resource to the community. The farm has been wonderful for
Absolutely,
everybody here in
absolutely,
Westford, for every reason
absolutely.
possible. And as you know, this is 15 years ago, and nobody anticipated that we would grow the way we're growing and expand the way we're expanding. Knock on wood, everyone in good health. And the
Yeah, but I gotta
progress
tell you,
good.
I've been on the commission now for close to 30 years. I've permitted a number of projects out on this site. It's always tight. It's always pushing the limit.
They're
So
good.
it's
Great
like,
for this community.
while I want to accommodate and find a way to say yes, at least I've provided some direction that
Thank you.
maybe we can go forward with.
And I just want to, for the record, they're good stewards for the land.
Absolutely,
They're good neighbors, they've been
absolutely.
good stewards, they care about conservation. So it's not like they're trying to stuff this down. It's
Kimball's is a
15
Westford
years later.
landmark.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, nobody just,
Yeah, so I appreciate that there's a path. Thank you.
thank you.
So, in terms of continuing to either, if there's no further comments, continuing to the commission's meeting either on the 24th or the 14th of February, and
It's up to them.
Yeah,
So,
Will be supplied that information.
So one in January.
they just said the 24th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
24th.
we'll go for the 24th. Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to January 24th? All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our 7:20 PM agenda item, it's a continued public hearing for Stella 89 Old Lowell Road.
See if we can find old notes. But I need from us even. notes.
Good evening. Ian Ainsley from Meister Brem, engineer, and I'm here with Bob Stella, the owner and applicant. We were in front of you in October with an earlier iteration of this plan. You had asked for a couple items, and I hope that we've done them to your satisfaction. The biggest one was to move this addition to at least 30 feet or greater away from the wetland. So we have taken the garage addition and slid it forward closer to the property line. And if you recall, we're in kind of a situation where we're getting closer to the front property line and we're over the front building setback. So we've been trying to strike a balance between getting zoning board relief and getting as far away from the wetland as possible. We did go to the zoning board and we did get that variance for the building setbacks, so we are all set with the zoning board. We've also moved the shed, so there's a shed that encroaches the property to the south or the top of the plan. We've moved that onto the subject property and made sure that that shed is going to be located at least 30 feet away. We had it 10, I believe, last time. And then we've provided, there was a comment you had made last time. The wetland is basically right up against the back lawn, kind of in the area of flags like 6 and 7. So we've provided basically a replanting area to kind of build back a little bit of that buffer in between the lawn and the wetland. So that kind of stretches its dots on the plan. You can see it here. And that also encompasses the area where that pre-existing shed is on the other property. So the idea basically is to, totally renaturalize that encroachment onto the other property. But otherwise, it's the same general plan that you saw before. I'll remind you that we are putting in a stormwater system that's going to take the roof runoff and the driveway runoff as well. So we've tried to do a lot to mitigate the impact and to address your concerns, and I'm happy to answer questions and take your feedback.
Any comments or questions from members of the commission?
I don't have any.
Matt?
I do not have any.
Any comments or questions from members of the audience on this project? Okay, so this is a public hearing. We would need to do, this is,
I'll need to draft the special conditions, but I can do that between now and the next meeting.
At the 24th.
Yes, for the
24th.
meeting on the 24th, if that works for the applicant.
Yeah, sure.
okay, so we'll keep the public hearing open until we issue the order of conditions, then we'll issue the order of conditions, close the public hearing at the next meeting, and we'll be all set.
Okay.
Okay?
Understood.
Thank you so much.
Can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to the January 24th?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll see you on the 24th.
Thanks.
Moving on to our 7:25 PM agenda item. It's a request for 2-year order of conditions extension for Buttrick and Ryder Pacific Lane.
It's me again. Ian Ainsley from Brem. I'm sure some of you remember this project. This is a notice of intent and a special permit for basically a common driveway. It's called Pacific Lane. It's off Flag Road. This was basically 2 pre-existing houses on a common driveway that we were expanding and putting in a new house for a total of 3 houses, and basically expanding that common driveway to be paved and 20 feet wide and all that. This project has taken a little bit longer than we anticipated, and I'm really going to say it's because of COVID. The myriad of challenges that COVID created really just months after this project was approved. Loan rates, supply chain issues, prices for, housing materials and gravel and everything. It's been all over the place. It's been a challenge throughout the construction industry. So we're here basically to ask for an extension of the order. Right now, the order is set to expire on February 9th of this year. We're requesting a 2-year extension to February 9th, 2026. What's been completed so far is the tree clearing on the site, the construction of the common driveway itself, other than the finished pavement. The well is installed, site is stable, The drainage infrastructure is in, so there was a pocket wetland, and the utilities are in as well. So what remains is basically the construction of the house, the septic system, final paving, and landscaping, planting, and, signposts and things like that. And just with the way that, the pace of the project as it has moved, we thought 2 years would be more realistic than trying to
Sounds
force it for
fine.
one. So,
Okay.
I have no comments.
Yeah, I
The
got no
site's been
problems with
stable.
this.
Fine with me.
Okay, can I have a motion to extend the order of conditions for DEP file number 334-1729 from February 9th, 2024 to February 9th, 2026?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All set?
thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our 7:30 PM agenda item. It's an order of conditions compliance for 31 Bridge Street.
I don't see the, although I did speak with him this afternoon. He is in the process of trying to get the signatures from the couple, I think 3 tenants who have materials stored in the storage boxes. I wasn't able to make it out this afternoon, or this evening, as there was some flooding going on the site. But he may have been attempting to, I think he was going to get me one then. But I will follow back up with him and make sure he is aware, he is actively pursuing it, but as was discussed at the last meeting, that's, only goes so far. So that's just an update, and if the commission has any questions, I can try to address them, but we can follow up.
If you go down there, if you meet him on the site, ask him to take a look at inside the steel boxes.
That's a very good point, thank you.
What we were looking for was.
A little spot compliance.
What we were looking for, right.
Yeah.
What we wanted was his tenants to confirm what they have stored and that
Right.
they acknowledge what the limitations are. But we really want to keep hazardous materials out of those boxes inside the zone buffers.
So should we have this on the agenda for the 24th as a follow-up?
Yep.
Okay.
Are those boxes locked? Do you know?
Are they?
But they were locked.
I mean, they're conics, so they're closed. It's the double latch kind of you see on the back of a tractor trailer. I don't think they're locked themselves, but I would want the property owner available.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just for search and seizures. I don't know. The Constitution's a thing. I'm not a lawyer. I just pretend to play one.
Okay. So moving on to our 7:35 PM agenda item, a public hearing for Tau 11 Pond Street.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 10th, 2024, at 7:35 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Dongbin Tau for the removal of an existing septic tank and leaching area and installation of a new septic tank and leach field within 100 feet of Forge Pond and bordering land subject to flooding at 11 Pond Street.
Good evening. For the record, Jeff Hannaford, representing the applicant at 11-13 Pond Street. This is for the repair of a failed septic system. As you can probably tell by the address, it is a 2-family structure, and it borders Forge Pond to the rear. The proposed leaching area is in the exact same location as the existing. I don't know if you can see it. It's the existing system.
Jeff, there's a,
Yep. Oh,
Yeah, I can see it underneath of
Yeah,
the
I'd
triple
actually
chamber
come-
there,
I
yeah.
actually see it for once.
yep. There's a double circle.
Not working. Here, Jeff, use this
Nope.
one.
It's a single leach pit. Which button is it, Matt?
The red one in the middle.
Red?
Nope.
Orange.
Orange, yeah, that one, sorry.
The other red one. The existing leach pit is right here. As you can tell,
The inner circle is a concrete cylindrical structure. The outer is the limit of the crushed stone around that. Compared to what we're proposing is quite a bit larger. Main difference is a change in regulations from when that one was originally built. The amount of gallons per square foot that could be applied was much greater than we can apply per square foot now. So what we're doing is we're replacing that single cylindrical pit with what we call a galley system, which is 3 rectangular concrete structures butted end to end and surrounded by crushed stone. And each of those rectangular structures will be fed by an individual pipe from a distribution box coming from a new 2-compartment septic tank. You can see the 55 limit of building to the rear of the system. That puts our proposed system at 63 feet, which is about the same as the existing. The big advantage here is increasing the size. You can see from the topography between this area and the pond that it drops off significantly. It's approximately a 30-foot drop in elevation from where the proposed system is to the water's edge. So with such a great vertical offset between the system and the water table, we know we're going to get adequate treatment of that effluent as it percolates down through the soil. So it was, because it's a 2-family, my concern is having adequate storage in the leaching area where you have 2 units at peak times, first thing in the morning, around dinner times with dishwashing and laundry. You're getting it from both units at the same time. So this newer system's going to afford plenty of storage for the effluent so that it can leach down during the off-peak times. As you may or may not be aware, for every gallon you get of sewage coming out of a residence, probably somewhere in the order of 90% of that gallon is actually just water. So the whole goal of a septic system is to remove everything but that water and remove it safely and allow that water to continue down through the soil back to the groundwater table. So we do want the water to reach the groundwater. We just want to make sure it's clean. With a 30-foot difference in elevation, there's no question that's going to happen. Title V requires a 4-foot separation to do all of that, and we have 30. So with that, I wasn't as concerned about the horizontal offset to the pond because we have such a great vertical offset. My concern was just making sure I had a big enough storage in that leaching area so that we didn't have any breakout or backup of the effluent. We're holding it 20 feet off the foundation. That's the minimum distance. Minimum distance to a property line is 10 feet. I have it at 11. That gives the contractor a little bit of wiggle room to make sure it meets that. And otherwise, it is sized for the 2-unit use.
Has it been approved by the Board of Health?
Yes, it has.
It's right in his old spot, so, he's trying to meet his maximum feasible compliance, basically.
Yes.
I have a question. Could you move the picture up a little bit? What's this line here?
That line is the limit of pavement. That's the driveway for the adjacent property.
Over this side?
Yep. It just,
This is the property line here?
correct.
And there's not enough room to put a traditional system in here that you would be able to stay outside 100 feet from?
Well, we have the water line right there.
And, just not to explain for Jeff, but the tank needs to be 10 feet off the tank would need to
Off
be
the
10
building.
feet off the foundation.
Distance is the
Right,
side
yeah,
yard. That's
it's
why
a
I
side
I
yard.
always thought it
plus-
was 20 off the
Yeah,
slab
and-
or something, and you can't
the
meet
leaching
the...
area is 20
yeah.
off the, so
There's no room there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all for creative options and.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I can see why he put it where he put it.
Matt, can you slide it back up a little?
Sorry.
So Jeff, it looks like there's a huge tree right next to the concrete pad near the end of the erosion control. Is that tree gonna be retained?
The tree will remain.
Okay,
Yep, it's outside the erosion control. I don't know if you could tell, right behind the erosion control is a fence.
yeah,
So that's kind of the limit of occupation in that area. So we chose to put the erosion control.
And I'm
Right.
assuming the concrete pad is existing and all of that, and the planters and...
yeah, the two concrete pads, the one near where the new,
That
Well,
pad will be going,
so that pad will be going, but the other one, the other concrete
The
pad
little
will be-
pad goes, but the big one stays.
correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's maximum feasible compliance, any conditions?
Erosion controls are shown.
Yeah, the standard.
Any comments or questions from members of the audience on this project? Okay, can I have a motion to issue a conditional negative determination? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Jeff. We also have a request for a minor modification from Troyano, 55 Graniteville Road.
Again, Jeff Hannaford here, representing the applicant and myself concerning 55 Graniteville Road.
Hi, I'm the homeowner.
Dave Troiano. Just waiting for Matt with the plan. The modification, the reason for the modification is due to an oversight on my part. Actually, Matt, can you show the original NOI?
Yeah, that was what I had up.
Right. This was the plan that was presented and became the plan of record when the order of conditions was issued. At that time, we showed a proposed addition and a proposed detached barn. Also, behind the addition, it says proposed deck extension. The existing deck is to the left behind the existing dwelling. When we began the proposal for the NOI, putting the plan together, filling out the paperwork for the application, as Dave and I were communicating, he had sent me a sketch and asked about, besides the addition itself, extending the deck. So we included that on the plan in the NOI. What I did not catch was sometime after that, David sent me an email and was asking about the deck extension, and at that point, he had plans done by his architect for the addition, and it showed the deck on the back. What I didn't pick up was not only did he discuss with his architect the addition details, but he also wanted to extend the deck in the other direction back towards the wetland.
Can you use the pointer to kind of, so we're really clear on where we're talking about?
Right. This is what was initially proposed for the deck extension, the existing deck being here. When I got a subsequent email talking about extending the deck and including the architect's plans, I didn't realize that in that email, he was talking about a different extension. I thought he was just reiterating the extension behind here, behind the proposed addition. What he intended was to bring the deck out more in line with the back of the patio all the way across. I didn't pick up that that's what he meant when he, on the second email, by extending the deck. I just thought he was reiterating the first one. And so I never picked up on it. I never revised the plan, and things got approved. He got his building permit, everything got built. We went out to do the final as-built, and that's when it was noticed that the deck was bigger than originally proposed. That's the sketch I had gotten originally from the owner, showing just, again, it was just a sketch with the great room addition and the deck extension behind it. If you could scroll down, I don't, yeah. So that came to me. I didn't bother, it's very hard to read those dimensions.
24 by 16.
Yeah, I didn't zoom in enough. I just didn't think it's a rectangle like I expected it to be. And so unfortunately, it was my fault. I didn't pick up on that. He did what he was supposed to do. He sent it to me. He wasn't trying to hide it from anybody.
What do we need now?
The contractor took the architect's plans. He built it per the plans. The permit, the building permit had those plans. So everybody was doing what they thought they were supposed to do. It was only until everything was all completed and he said, you know, the site's stabilized, my barn's all done, we need our certificates of compliance, that we went out and did the as-built, and then lo and behold, that's when it was
Showed up.
brought to my attention that, and that's what exists now. So, I mean, not only is it built, the area is completely stabilized. He's been mowing it. Because the 55-foot setback is not parallel to the deck, what you're looking at is the far pier, the far post from this angle is right about at the 55 feet. As you come towards this end of the deck, it actually encroaches because the 55 feet is going to your left as it comes towards this end of the deck. So it forces that near post to be approximately 50 feet. And again, I'm looking at it now thinking, how do we fix this? And it would either be some sort of, we'd have to remove those piers and sonotubes, set new ones 5 feet back, and come up with a structural way to support the overhang, or cut the overhang off. And again, this isn't the applicant's fault, so clearly I don't think the applicant should be penalized. I take responsibility for it. If there's some sort of penalty, rather than get in and start to excavate an area that's fully stabilized, I'd be willing to agree to some sort of adequate fine or penalty of some sort.
I don't think we need that.
Okay, so I guess comments or questions from members of the commission?
I mean, at the most, maybe it's 4 feet more than what it was, it doesn't look like it's a whole lot bigger. And you're trying to do this through a minor modification.
And so if Madam Chair, when the original certificate of compliance, when kind of a certificate of compliance was looking to be sought, and starting to look at as-built plans, seeing how that differs from the approved plan, and, making sure everything is, consistent, this was noted, and, in discussions with, Mr. Hannaford, in terms of, kind of paths for, can a certificate of compliance be requested for substantial conformance with the plans if, one of the findings of the commissions was, don't encroach within the 55. It's an honest mistake, there was, certainly no malicious, nefarious, so that's why we thought it would best to come before the commission seeking a minor modification to allow it. and then,
We could plant a tree.
right, and then get a certificate of compliance, or, if enforcement, that was the other kind of path that, I wasn't hoping to go
I
down.
can't see
but-
going that route.
Right, and so that's why, we're
we
asking
could
for a
plant
minor
a tree?
modification.
I think we could plant a tree.
You plant
You know how
another
I am
tree?
about trees.
You plant another
Can
tree
we plant a tree
someplace.
somewhere?
I'm sorry,
She wants you to plant a tree.
oh,
I don't care where on the
Yeah,
property.
that was a suggestion,
if
That
that's,
that would solve it for me.
I came in
Carolyn's idea.
expecting some
We do
sort
that?
of, yep.
Sure, yeah.
okay.
Any particular?
Nope.
We can
Well, he'll
discuss.
tell- You can
Yeah.
discuss with him and he'll
Yeah,
tell
I
you.
think pulling the sonic tubes out will be more for,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it would be
Disturbance.
worse. I think it would be worse.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't
Before
have
we go
trouble
here-
giving him this.
We have an unusually large number of people in the audience, so any comments on this project? No, okay. Okay, so I think it just,
Make a motion then
I have
to,
a motion to approve this as a minor modification with a tree being planted in compensation.
Thank you. Yes.
Second.
You can talk to Matt about that. You can work
Yeah.
it out.
and you got a second?
Yeah, all
Okay,
those in
all-
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
That's very fair, and sorry to put everybody in that position.
No, it's fine.
We
Doesn't
hope
happen all the
it's
time.
Never
In all the
repeated.
years you have been before us, I think this is the first time you've come with something like this.
Okay,
Thank you.
And I sit on this board 23 years.
so moving on to our 7:40 PM agenda item, it's a public hearing for D 20 Newport Drive.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 10th, 2024, at 7:40 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the request for determination of applicability application of Lindsay D. for the construction of an approximately 705 square foot addition to a single-family dwelling within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands and bordering land subject to flooding at 20 Newport Drive.
Hi, I'm Lindsay D., the homeowner, with my dad, Bob Berman, and my mom, Lori Berman. This is my first time doing this.
Just breathe.
Welcome.
So we are trying, my husband and I are trying to build on an ADU for my parents. And there's a corner of the addition that falls within the buffer zone. And it's gonna be done, we're designing it so that it's on sonotubes. So within,
So what is this?
so that's the addition.
That's the addition, and
So
and it,
the foundation is gonna end here, and this is gonna be on
The sonotubes.
the sonotubes, and this is the corner right here that we wanna,
How many feet is it?
Yeah, so it's 5 feet, and or it's, typically for a disturbed site, it would be the nearest point of disturbance, the setback would be 55 feet.
so he's not on a slab, he's doing this just
Right,
on
on
sonotube.
sonotube, exactly.
Yeah, so
And
that's,
so-
but, it's not a deck, it's.
It's a living structure.
It's living space, okay. I was just trying to figure out what it was.
and then back here, she has a single tank, septic that we're gonna either add a secondary tank or replace it with the dual tank in the same location, which we haven't gotten those approvals yet. We wanted to start with you guys.
So you still need to go to the Board of Health for that?
Yes, yeah, we're trying to figure this out in the process. There's no clear.
So basically septic in the same location as the existing.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
It may actually get moved a little bit, because I don't know, it looks like it's literally a foot or two from the.
Right,
from
the
the
new
project,
addition.
And they'll probably have you move.
Well, yeah, he's gonna have to
well, I
be,
think I did reach out to the health department, to get their thoughts on what was proposed by the applicants, and in terms of, geez, where is it? Yeah, some nice photos. As the lot would likely be unable to accommodate an increase in size in the system and leaching area, there would need to be some additional construction within the house to, so that the bedroom count stayed the same. As the health agent did comment, either a 2-compartment or a tank in series. I know the commission in the past, where a project constructed a new ADU and did not increase the bedroom size, they did, the commission did approve a dual compartment tank. So that's certainly is consistent, but also, whereas the commission is looking, where the applicant is looking to encroach, or to construct within the wetland buffer and, encroach within the 55 no-build setback, and you also have to go to the zoning board of appeals for an ADU?
Yes, for the ADU, yes.
Yes. So whereas there are other approvals, I think it would be worthwhile to, continue the public hearing.
Give instruction and then table it for a time,
Take some feedback
yeah.
and we can, kind of just continue the public hearing, keep it open as,
And as you work yourself through the other boards,
Right.
then we can see how that plays out in regards to what we can and can't do.
Well, one of the things I wanted to bring up that might help with is, excuse me, is the side lot setback for your lot is actually 15 feet. So one of the options that you also have is being able to go slightly closer to the adjacent property line if you wanted to reconfigure.
I think it's
So-
20 feet for the
Well,
drainage easement.
Yeah, we have a 20-foot drain, we have
Oh,
this,
there's a
we have
drainage
this
easement.
tiny
Oh,
little
okay.
area that we're kind of
Stay out
shoehorning
of the
in.
drainage easement. Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, we can't, we wish we could.
Okay. So I think,
I'm good with this, but they're gonna need to have to work themselves through this, to see, yeah.
yeah.
But I don't see anything here that we
Okay.
couldn't ultimately approve.
But we don't want to say anything until we see what
Board of Health.
changes those other boards require you to make, and then you come back to us with your,
But I'm thinking that's
Revised
positive
plans.
direction for you, saying
Yes.
you're probably good with us.
Yes, I think, yeah, that sounds great.
do you have dates for the ZBA hearing and?
Not yet, no, we're just trying, we're
I'm
trying,
gonna
there's,
start with you, because if you said forget
no,
about it.
yeah,
No, we're not gonna say forget about it. We'll figure it out.
that's what we're trying to do.
We're trying to figure out
Oh geez.
which order to go to first, so I guess we started with you first.
Should we do Board of Health? I think Board of Health
And I-
next for the septic.
Yeah, so Board of Health next or ZBA next?
I think, it concurrent.
Board of Health.
Okay.
Just because, again, the ADU is a special permit, so it is discretionary if you can, show cause for the various criteria of a special permit. There's, again, if the commission is amenable to kind of the application as proposed, I can certainly.
I'm trying to think of how far to continue it.
I would continue it to at least the second February meeting, to the 28th of February, if that's.
Okay. So can I have a motion to continue the public hearing to February 28th?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank
So we'll see you on the 28th.
Thank you.
Good luck. Okay. Moving on to our 7:40.
Actually, the representative for the next two items is currently on a Zoom call.
Okay.
In the next room over. And so if we could,
Jump to our 7:55?
yes,
Okay, so we're jumping over
or
7.
7:50.
7:50, okay.
Okay.
That's what they're kid.
So the 7:50 PM agenda item is request to work after December 1st for noise, 6 and 8 Callista Terrace.
He's not here, but at the end of last week, I was able to stop out to the site. And so following the significant rains we had on December 18th, the site still appeared to be in good, stable condition. The erosion controls were satisfactory, and if the commission is amenable, granting an extension through the March 1st, because then that could go to the February 28th meeting.
Or the 14th.
Yeah, I mean,
March 1st is
works.
cleaner.
4
It
weeks,
works.
6 weeks.
So can I have a motion to permit work up through
March
March
1st.
1st? on
moved.
this site.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and our other now moving on to the 7:55 PM agenda item, Hildreth Hills Condominium Trust, Monadnock Drive.
As a first point of order, would the commission please ratify the emergency, that's wrong. It's not an emergency order, it's it's wrong in the packet.
Can I have a motion to ratify the enforcement order issued January 2nd, 2024?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Good evening. Bruce Ringwald from GPR, Goldsmith Press Ringwald, here representing Hildreth Hills Condominium Association.
And this is Paul Gabry, a trustee at Hildreth Hills.
We were out to the site on January 3rd, the day after the enforcement order, to meet and take a look at the issues that have occurred out there. As you all know, Hildreth Hills was constructed many years ago, around 40 plus years ago, I believe the first phase of it was. They had a drainage basin that was breached. Pardon my spelling errors throughout the document, but it was breached. I was in a hurry when I was drafting the document. That basin breached and released the water that it was holding on top of all the rain and the snow melt that we had on December 18th. And it washed on down. The trust of the association tried diligently to find large riprap, and at the places they went, the less they could get was 1.5 inches. They dumped a load to try to protect Monadnock Road as the swale was undermining the edge of the swale towards Monadnock Road. It helped protect that for a little bit, but it also washed that 1.5-inch stone right down into the intersection of the intermittent stream channel and the swale parallel to Monadnock Road. They have since brought us on and Milestone Excavating and Landscaping to look at the situation. We've met out there, as I said. We think that the best approach here is to get the swale and the breach basin under control before there's more damage and more flow and push of the stone further downstream than is gone right now. The proposal would be to use the super sacks. You've probably seen these, like the large sacks that they take about a ton of sand. They would use an excavator to place those in place. One just at the stone wall, just up gradient of the intersection of the swale and the intermittent channel as it crosses underneath Monadnock, and another one about 200 feet up. They would dig a sump there for any dewatering that would be necessary. We would put silt sacks in the catch basins out in Monadnock Road and pump down Monadnock Road. It would be clean water that they'd be collecting on the surface, if there's any at all. The swale itself was dry until yesterday, of course. And now it's running again right now, or it was this morning at any rate. And do it in 200-foot sections. Doing the first 200-foot sections would get us up to where the access and the drain is from the basin that breached. And they would use blocks and steel plates to cross over the swale and then get equipment up in. Now that basin itself has well over a foot of sediment in the bottom of it. Yeah, that's a great picture right there, and I'll grab this here and, oops, it was nice, yeah. So, let's see here. So you're in the wrong one, we gotta slide down a little bit. There you go, oh, nope, go the way you're going. Right there, perfect. Okay, so this is Monadnock right here, and this is the basin that breached right here. All of the drainage, or a big portion of the drainage from up here, collects in various pipes and discharges here, and another catch basin over here comes into this side. The breach is right here, and this is full of probably a good foot of sediment in the bottom of the basin. This was designed initially as an infiltration basin. There's no low-flow outlet. It just had a spillway on it. And because all the sediment that's in there, it's not working the way it was originally designed. And it's just been filling up with water and probably staying full of water for well over the 72 hours we design a basin to hold for. And there has since is vegetation growing within it, and it's worked its way through the spillway and totally blew out the spillway. So that blew out, all the water that was in it came out. It not only came down this spillway here, but it found its own path through the woods. So if you were out there when there's snow on the ground or out there today, you'll see that there's numerous tracks where the water came through. Or if you were out there last weekend, you could see it in the leaves and the lack thereof where the water had traveled. So we would repair that, repair this, and then continue on up to this intersection over here where they intersect. And again, doing those in 200-foot sections. Once we got up past 400 feet, the channel, the swale itself is a little bit narrower and there's a lot less flow going to it. We'd probably reduce it down to 4 to 6 feet depending on as necessary and go to a 6-foot minus crushed stone. The first section, if you've been out there, you'll see that there's about a 2 or 3 foot wide channel that's actually had flow in it in the smaller storms, but you see a level flat area across for another 4 to 6 feet. And that's area that was originally swale once upon a time, and sediment is slowly filled in and grass has grown over it. This morning, water was flowing over that 6 to 8 foot wide level area, which was the swale. Our goal would be to replace that swale back into its former glory, if you will. We would be removing all that material. We would put down filter fabric and then put the stone on top of the large stone on top of it and work it back up. Lastly, once we get those things in place, they would use their large excavator to put a mini excavator down, set it on the stone bed. If you were out there before the snow, you could see that I think we have a good picture of it, yeah, right there. All the stone that washed into the level area adjacent to the stream channel. They set the mini right on that and used the mini and buckets to put the stuff into the mini, transfer that to the large excavator that would be sitting up above with a bucket downreached, and then bucket that off into a truck and remove it out of there. But it would, that is our suggestion, to do it in that manner. Because there is still stone on the sides, and there is much more erosion that will occur if this doesn't address the channel and the swale itself first. And that's our thoughts, and turn it over to the commission for input and thoughts that they may have on the subject.
One of the things that struck me in your letter was the talk about the basin with years of sediment buildup and hasn't been functioning as designed. Does that mean that the operation and maintenance plan for that basin needs to be changed?
I'm going to bet that in the early 80s, I think this was approved in the early 80s, that there were not operation and maintenance plans at the time. In looking through the site, there's definitely areas where there is some maintenance that is necessary in different areas, and we could definitely propose to put together an operation and maintenance plan for these revised structures, and talk with the association for other things to happen in the future.
Yeah, yeah, because I think if this is a problem that's been building over time, you've got a plan to fix the impacts, and I think what we now want is an ongoing plan, so nobody in the future is here again having the same conversation.
We understand.
Okay.
Is this area all in the one homeowners association area, or is this the one that's 2 or 3?
Two.
Two different ones.
The basin is Hilda Heights, and Monadnock is a combined responsibility.
Okay, and so the two groups have been working together?
Yes, we have the chairman of the Hilda Heights here as well.
to add, Matt?
I'll probably need to find contact information for the enforcement order, just so it goes,
Yep.
so we're doing it on two people's responsibilities, just so it's.
I'll provide you
procedurally-
with all that, Matt.
Thank you. And yeah, no, again, I appreciate the quick turnaround of the trusts and associations to, look to resolve this and, correct it. In terms of kind of ordering the work be done, an additional enforcement order, would permit the work, the restoration work, the repairing of the berm, or the repairing of the swale, and again, I don't know, but whereas, the release of the basin, impacted a jurisdictional resource, that's, subject to the enforcement order, and the only other, so including the GPR letter as kind of so ordered, do this, but also, if periodic updates as to, when 200-foot sections are done, just so we can kind of keep the commission appraised of the progress. That would be my only other item to be included in the enforcement, in an enforcement order.
Any comments or questions from members of the audience?
Question is, how soon can we get started? Because we don't want the ground to freeze. It doesn't look like it's going to for a week or two.
My intention is to issue it tomorrow, and
Perfect.
I'd give it till, if you want to line people up for Friday, I think you'd have,
Probably next
you-
week.
Yeah, we've spoken with the contractor, and he'll be ready to go as soon as the weather and you authorize him, so.
yeah, so like I said, it'll be issued tomorrow.
Is there any inspection?
Okay, can you?
If you can come to the microphone and identify yourself, please. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Jim Fitzgerald. I'm a trustee at Hildreth Hills. When we're doing this, is there any inspection required by the commission or Matt or?
I mean,
They'll check
this-
compliance with the enforcement order.
yeah, I mean, periodic stopping
they'll
out,
check it out.
I don't have, and unless the commission wants me to stop out at a regular interval, thankfully, that area is convenient to stop in from another site visit, so, I could be there regularly or not regularly.
Okay, I just, before we go through the hoops, just wanted to ask. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we've ratified the enforcement order. Is there anything else you need us to vote on?
Yes, to issue the enforcement order, as previously discussed with the two items ordered, with the issuance date being tomorrow.
Okay, so can I have a motion to issue the enforcement order effective January 11th? The enforcement order as described in this discussion, effective January 11th.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Super. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Understanding.
That can be signed.
Okay.
Just to make sure that the corrective action for the enforcement order is going to be right up.
Yes. That is fine.
So I don't know what you said.
Oh, the applicant is on another call at this time. The applicant's representative is on another call, so we're tabling that until she's done.
Oh,
So she'll,
Yeah,
they'll-
yeah, yeah.
That's all I meant.
Yeah, we're,
I didn't know if it meant today or next month. Thank you.
okay. So we're still, so the 7:40 and
45, yeah.
7:45 agenda items are still
outstanding, yes.
pending the person being done with their other call. Okay.
So the corrective actions that we're just gonna have on this last enforcement order, we're gonna be to write an option and maintenance plan and dividing the responsibilities between the two homeowners associations.
I mean, I think that is something that they need to the operations and maintenance plan is, I think there's,
We gotta at least have one for the area that they're gonna correct right now.
that's a fair, yeah, right. So, have that, within 2 months, have some form of operations and maintenance plan for that basin.
We had two things that was gonna be ops and maintenance plan and
The correct it per
And
the
per
letter,
the steps.
and then, just regular updates as 200-foot sections are completed.
Okay. So moving on to our APM agenda item, it's the enforcement order compliance for Spalding Hill Estates.
So as included in the commission's packet is a update from Oxbow Associates from prior to the commission's as of November 30th. I probably received the date. It may not have been in the commission's packet. Additional, following the significant rain event of December 18th, the assistant town engineer stopped out, raised some issues to the project engineer. Project engineer followed up with, I'm just going to close the door, it's a little dirty.
Yeah.
People are now leaving. Fantastic. With the significant rain event, breaches of the silt fence had occurred. Silty water was seeping through the berm of the detention basin. The project engineer additionally prepared an erosion control action items subsequent to that rain event. This was, I did receive follow-up from the project engineer today. Some of these had been, some of the more critical items had been addressed, but the other just additional correspondence between the project engineer. We did receive correspondence from a downstream abutter to the project site. It included photos of very silted water in the certified vernal pool. The Oxbow Associates did go out. I got a response from Oxbow Associates Monday, and I can pull that up. As they met with the resident and looked at the observation, their observations since that storm on December 17th, 18th, they did identify corrective measures that downstream of that detention basin. They also plotted it using GIS and located deposits of gravels and sediments in proximity to the detention basin and directly north thereof. There's a sediment, an area easterly of the detention basin, and then also northerly, more within the wetlands. Additionally, the abutter at 15 Tenney Road and the certified vernal pool there, sediments, 2 to 3 inch deep accumulations of sediments were observed there. So in terms of the project engineer, and I think Oxbow Associates as well, are recommending to go in and clean up. We're not seeming to get to a drier condition, as was originally hoped for, to clean up some of these accumulated sediments, and they're recommending going in with shovels and buckets and manually removing these deposits. I was out with the assistant town engineer and the project and the town planner today. I have the attached photos, or these photos. There is runoff from St. Paul Lane, which is the main loop of the subdivision. There is runoff going over a constructed pavement berm, which was installed after the December 18th rain event to minimize flow going easterly down towards Dunstable Road as the stormwater components there were only sized for the roadway of St. James Way, which was the emergency access. Additional, again, the snow and rain made it quite clear to find areas of breakout and erosion controls that were compromised. Again, here's one.
So they don't have control over the site?
Not currently, I would say no.
So why are we allowing them to continue building and doing things after December 1st?
So they're doing work, I mean, so if the commission is so inclined, you know, an enforcement order can be issued, you know, whereas where the site is, the area of basically from St. James Way northerly towards the detention basin. The detention basin is sized to control runoff of the impervious surfaces of the roadway and addition, you know, but whereas the basin is currently the stormwater system and basin is currently capturing all runoff from disturbed areas of the site, and the basin is at capacity. It is at the high level outlet of the structure in the basin. It is, you know, silty water is discharging to the wetland resources, the bordering vegetated wetlands northerly, and so if the commission, as a part of an enforcement order, directing that, you know, any items not completed of the any of the items not completed of the action items dated December 21st. If you know, put a time frame on that to, you know, the commission's next meeting of the 24th. In addition, where, you know, erosion from the site as a whole is entering into the stormwater system and discharging to the detention basin, which is discharging to, you know, if the commission is inclined to issue a stop work order. I have 2 building permits currently on my desk for the site. But if, you know, if the commission, you know, wants to issue a stop work, even, you know, on the building, the construction of the dwellings, that, you know, it's not, the site work isn't, you know, minimal site work is currently going on, but they are, you know, progressing with foundations, or, you know, a foundation as, you know, as.
They don't have the site under control. We have an enforcement order for them, and I just think that if it's not under control, then, you know, we need to take steps and
divert all
button it up.
resources to get it under control.
They get it under control.
To correct them is the
Yeah,
problem.
and the other question that I have is Mark Schlager's list of actions is dated December 21st. Based on what's happened since then, are there other actions that need to be taken? You know, is that list now complete? Is that list still sufficient to get the site under control? Because it's really, you're right, it's out of control.
Weather's changing, and it's gonna be worse, not better.
Yes, they need to stop all work and focus on getting everything, that list plus anything else that's needed to get the site under control.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
We don't do this very often, and I agree.
Right. So
This is
action items.
Especially with the weather that we're getting now.
So the action items be complied with by the 24th. The, you know, not issue, you know, no build, not, you know, direct me to not issue any, you know, sign any building permits. And, you know, the building commissioner was amenable to issuing a stop work if, you know, where there are.
Do that first.
Right, start it for 24, you know, for 14 days
2
till the
weeks
24th.
till the 24th, okay.
Yeah.
Definitely
And-
do that, definitely.
But also is because of the most recent storm, we would raise the question.
It's getting worse.
Are there actions beyond what's already on Mark Schlager's list that now need to be taken, or is doing what is not complete on Mark Schlager's list no longer sufficient to get the site under control?
Well, we ask them that question.
Yeah, we asked him that question.
Right, you know, to update the list of the 21st based upon I mean,
Subsequent events.
yes.
Recent additional snow and rain events,
Right,
yeah.
I mean, it's gonna
We're
rain
gonna have
again
more
this
rain
weekend,
in
so.
another
Yeah.
day or two, we're gonna have more.
We need an outside consultant perhaps on this?
And that was something that I did, it was included in one of the previous enforcement orders. I dropped the ball on that one in terms of hiring it, where they do have Oxbow Associates who is, involved with this project. Would the commission be amenable to, they're not a third part, they're not somebody I've, hired to, but they are familiar with the site. If they're doing erosion control, if they're not capable of doing erosion control inspections and, offering recommendations, to go to tie in.
We're the
bond or
ones
keep-
going out and finding this stuff. It's not like somebody's bringing this to our attention.
Why don't we can add in our enforcement order instructions for corrective actions, is getting Oxbow Associates to come before us every 2 weeks or whatever meetings we have and give us an update.
That's a good idea.
Or you could do a weekly report to you.
Well, but we want to expand the scope of what Oxbow Associates is doing, is that they should be reviewing all erosion control measures on the site to make sure that everything is in place and functioning properly to help get the site back under
And
control.
only then can they come back to see if they can continue.
Yes.
And Oxbow should be aware that the building department and us have coordinated and there's a stop work for any.
Right, I mean, well,
any efforts except for corrective actions for the.
Right.
Per the, yep, okay. I can certainly, again, include that to, again, the building commissioner was receptive if,
Well, I think it's bad enough.
Okay, so can I have a motion to issue all of the directives outlined in this conversation, and all of the directives outlined?
Oxbow Associates is gonna report, you wanna have
No
writing
more-
every week, or do you wanna have them
weekly,
visit?
I mean, a weekly report is, I think.
That's reasonable.
Weekly
And-
written report to Matt
and
on all the corrective actions being taken.
An update on this list
Sure.
to identify if any additional corrective actions are now needed. Matt is not going to sign any more building permits.
Okay, that's the second thing. Isn't it?
And wishing to
What else
stop
do we
work.
have the ability to direct?
Issue a stop work order per the building, through
Do
the
that
building
first,
commissioner.
Yes, okay.
Right, I mean, I need to issue the enforcement order
Okay,
first before I
okay,
can then.
okay.
'cause
So
that
issue an
gives me more.
enforcement order with
but-
all these details?
Yes, but, issue a stop work order for 2 weeks with the only work to be
Corrective action.
The corrective actions that would be taking place at
At
the
that
site.
point, we can re-examine whether they can resume.
When you
Okay.
say issue a stop work order for 2 weeks, why 2 weeks? Why aren't
I
we
mean,
stopping them from
Because-
December?
How about until further notice, until we're satisfied?
Okay, that'd be fine.
These are this is contractors, these are the tradesmen, this is people constructing the houses, who
get it.
aren't, and so
Uns-
I think 2 weeks, and again, the commission, meets on the 24th, we have this, we follow up then with, here's, the 10 days.
It's 2 weeks with an expectancy
So
of
it's a
a
review in
report
2
being
weeks.
at
Well,
the end
right,
of the
I mean,
2
but-
weeks
I mean,
to
but we-
see if it can resume.
But, if the commission is, still unsatisfied in 2 weeks, I issue another enforcement order. I mean, the other option, to proceed is to go to DEP and, seek their,
Let's
and
do it
seek
internally.
Okay.
Let's do it internally.
Stop work for,
Have trouble
Well,
in a
Eric,
different way.
your DEP, where these impacts are to state jurisdictional resources,
Wouldn't like the vernal pool picture.
No, I mean, and this is the second go around. We had the
This is
first
our
time when we saw it.
third.
We've had, okay, so it's a
So
couple of things.
if you stop work,
This
they'll
this
understand.
absolutely is a text, case in point on why we shouldn't let people strip a site. I mean, they go in there and the first thing they do is they take down every single tree, and there's situations that are going to happen like this, especially where it's so tight, especially given some of the grades. This is bound to happen.
well,
And we were given every assurance that it wouldn't, and here we are.
well, and I would quibble with you on one thing, is one of the things I've seen in a lot of Matt's pictures is the erosion control has not been adequately maintained. And so I think there's.
Maybe we should have
There's
stopped it earlier.
lack of attention to detail that has exacerbated the situation.
All right, so if it's stop work, period, until
Yeah.
we're
For 2
satisfied.
weeks.
But it even seemed like,
in 2 weeks for.
it
yeah, I
even
would-
seemed like normal.
Why don't we start till April 15th? December 1st to April, I mean, it's too late to December 1st.
I mean, again, these are, this is framing of a house. This,
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
And if that's the commission's pleasure,
If it's in our jurisdiction.
I'm starting with 2 weeks, but that doesn't say, in another 2 weeks, I can't issue another enforcement order for
But I would
a stop
word-
work order for
I
4
would
weeks.
word it in such a way that it's stop work, with an examination of what's happened in 2 weeks. So in other words, it's not continuing after the 2 weeks either unless we're satisfied.
Well, I would recommend setting a time frame, setting a time limit on, or stop work order through, the 24, the 26th, the Friday,
At
the
which
Friday.
time a report will determine whether or not work can be.
Well, but the commission meets on the 24th, so if we issue a stop work order through the 26th, that gives, it's either, if the commission finds at the meeting on the 24th that, things haven't improved or,
It
they
continues.
want, another month, you want another month, it's easier to increase time that way as opposed to having to walk back, nothing until April 1st. And then, okay, well, they've gotten the site in order, they've gotten everything. But if that's the commission's pleasure, I can certainly word it.
Let's see what happens with
Well,
this.
I think we want them to react quickly, and so.
If you stop work, they're gonna
We-
react quickly.
Yeah, but our expectation is, you've got this all in place, you've got this nailed down, you've got this the way it's supposed to be by the 26th, and we will review it on the 24th. And if they're not there, then,
Extended.
yeah. Jim, I hear your point that,
It's our prerogative to go through April 15th. I think we
April
should
1st.
April 1st, I think we should be exercising it. It's clear they don't have the ability to.
I give them this one.
Order
yeah,
conditions.
except
one
that this
shot.
site has had problems outside the April 1st to December 1st window as well. I think it's just, we want to get them back into compliance, and we want to put
You stop their
stuff in
project.
place to make sure that they stay there. Because things are not gonna be hunky-dory once we get past April 1st.
Not necessarily, right? Nothing magic
Yeah.
happens that day.
I think we just.
Okay, so I have a motion. So I've asked for a motion. Can somebody move it?
For what?
For all the stuff we've been talking about.
Jim, here,
Just a motion to that effect.
The motion to the effect
To that
of,
effect. So I'll say so moved, somebody say second.
I'll
What
say
are the items
second.
on your list, Matt?
the items are, identify which of the action items have been order that these action items be complied with. The project engineer assess any new items with which need to be added. Oxbow Associates review all erosion controls and provide weekly report to me. Not signing any building permits. A stop work, and then a stop work order through January 26th.
At which time this will be reviewed again.
Well, we're reviewing it again on the 24th.
The commission, the commission meets on 24th. This is, this is.
I'll move all those items.
okay. And I have a second. Can I have all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Please sign that.
okay, so can we circle back to 7:40? 7:45.
Under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Westford's non-zoning wetlands bylaw, Chapter 171, the Westford Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 10th, 2024, at 7:45 PM in Meeting Room 201 at Town Hall, 55 Main Street, to consider the notice of intent application of Carol Kilpatrick for removal of a paver patio and construction of an approximate 500 square foot addition to a single-family dwelling within 100 feet of bordering vegetative wetlands and within 200 feet of Tadmouth Brook at 5 Drawbridge Road.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name's Maureen Harold from Norse Environmental Services. The plans that I passed out are the same plans that were submitted with the notice of intent. They're just colored and larger, and hopefully you're able to see what we'd like to do. Essentially, what we'd like to do is raise an existing patio that's located behind the dwelling and construct an addition. As you can see from the plans, the addition is proposed within the 200-foot riverfront area. The addition proposes to expand the kitchen as well as the living room. We're proposing a total of 460 square feet within the 200-foot riverfront area. We are providing infiltration in the form of an infiltration trench around the addition itself. From the C series, the addition is proposed 42.5 feet away. The good news about the placement of this addition is it's within an existing patio area. There's no trees that need to be removed. The work that's enclosed within the erosion controls, that's lawn area itself. I know Matt and I haven't had an opportunity to go out and take a look at the flagging or take a look at the lot, so I'm anticipating a continuance for the project this evening. But I wanted to come and at least open it up to the commission and get any feedback or thoughts or suggestions.
On a slab, on sonotube, frost wall foundation, what is it?
Slab.
Slab, okay.
Is it with a full foundation?
I thought I saw on the architectural just a slab, a 4-inch slab.
Yeah, 4-inch slab below. That's just my one oh, that's 10-inch. I thought that was a 10-foot concrete wall.
I think I can verify that for you.
Just was curious, more, you know.
Well,
I didn't know if it was a slab versus a sonotube, so.
Originated as, where the project is, or where the wetland elevation is, we'll call it at 240. The grade at the house is around 246. What's the water table? Where's the water table? Are we going to be trying to put in a full foundation and having to dewater? I don't know if any of that information, you haven't done any.
No, so the short answer is no, we haven't done a deep hole to determine the water table. I believe it's just on a slab, but let me just verify that for the commission.
Yeah.
If it is on a slab, does the town require the determination of the water table?
I was more concerned where it was a full foundation.
Okay.
And going down, significantly into the earth.
Right.
Where's the water table if we're digging down?
Okay.
And I wasn't able to find anything in the Board of Health file. regarding-
Septic's in the front or the side?
Don't know where the septic is. It's not
Yeah, I
shown.
just don't know if it's, is it somewhere in the back near your proposed addition here? I just didn't know if there was gonna be any.
I certainly hope
Building, so this filing came about as a result of a building permit that came across my desk, and in starting to, okay, it is within 200 feet of the
Yeah.
riverfront and, the secondary wetland, at the C, with the C series. The health department signed off, again, they're looking more so at, capacity of the system, but they do look at where it's located in relation, and the health agent did sign, I know the health agent did sign off on the building permit originally, so nothing, there's no components in proximity to the addition.
That struck them out as being out of order, I get it. I typically would just, if we see an addition, we typically note the location of the septic or whatever, just to make sure
Well,
that
doesn't that, yeah, because
it's
it needs to be
not gonna
building
be
setback.
impactful, yeah.
Right.
Jim?
Slow down just a little bit, let's see if there's a note here in the corner. What is that referring to? It says the current plan at 12 feet from the corner.
Right, so, originally, when we got the architectural plans that was shown for the addition, it was shown on the original plans, which was not submitted to the commissions. The architectural plans had changed, I sent it to the engineer, and that was the change, it was 12 feet away, so.
What was 12 feet from what? I didn't understand what.
12 feet from the corner of the house, so it would be right here.
Actually, can you use the pointer to put it on this
Oh,
orange button on the big map?
orange, oh God,
Don't
then
look
I
at
gotta
it.
see. But in this location here,
Was
the
the
addition
origin,
is 12
Oh,
feet.
that's the 12-foot measurement?
Yeah, originally he had shown it completely lined up with the corner of the house, and it just wasn't the correct layout that the homeowner wanted to do, and I didn't want to have, if the commission approves the project, show the addition closer than what was approved because of a goof. So we corrected it on the plan.
Okay, so the current structure, the closest point to the wetland is 45 feet. Now with the proposed addition, the closest point is 42.5, and I'm curious why the addition is on what I'll call the right-hand side of the patio as opposed to the left-hand side, which would have it where you would be able to maintain that 45 feet from the wetlands.
So, I don't know if you have the architectural plans, but the architectural plans on the left-hand side of the house, we have bedrooms. Behind the house where the addition is proposed, we'd like to expand the kitchen and put in a family room. So in terms of the flow of the house, that becomes an issue. If we were to put it on the left-hand side of the house, we would be closer to the 200-foot riverfront area or located further into the riverfront
Yeah.
area. So I guess it's a catch-22.
Well, and what I'm looking at is this is inside the 50-foot setback. You're currently at 45. Normally, we look to not have anything closer than existing, and I don't know what other people's thoughts are.
Currently lawn?
It's currently a patio in that area. So what we'd like to do is raise the patio and put the
So
addition
replace the
there.
patio with the addition.
Correct.
I think we'd probably be okay with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Jim, you look like
Yep,
you're,
no, I'm just looking at all the distances.
Okay.
Looks okay.
anything, Matt?
no, again, just really groundwater.
Okay,
Maybe-
Yes, I'm in a butter, so I answer.
Okay,
yeah, so
great.
come up to the mic and let us
Yeah.
know who you are.
Get this out of the way.
That's a tricky thing there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, once you get, there you go, all right.
Sorry, but I was going to knock it over. I know I was. I'm Catherine Faniff. I'm in a butter at 7 Drawbridge Road. And my main concern is drainage and how changes in drainage could potentially affect the function of my septic system, specifically the leaching field, which my leaching field is in between my house and the 5 Drawbridge property. Now, I was pleased to see that there is plans to include water mitigation in the form of the infiltration trench, but I just, to accommodate the stormwater runoff, I guess.
So where are you, over here?
The other side,
Other side?
37, lot 37 on.
Okay, lot 37. All right, yep.
Anyway, I just had a few questions related to that, which is I was wondering about the dimensions and location of the trench, what type of soil is found below the trench that would affect drainage. Is there expected to be sufficient capacity in the trench to accommodate increased runoff from the addition's roof in all seasons of the year, including when the water table is at its highest? Now, I know you can't definitively answer this because things change year to year, but that's the kind of thing I was interested in. And if the trench's capacity is exceeded, which direction would water likely move? Because there's a hill behind their house, the 5 Drawbridge property, and I don't know if it's going to create like a funnel effect into my property and affect my drainage. I don't know, maybe not. And I just had one more question, which was, will any large boulders or rocks dug up, it may not, if it's only a slab, maybe this will be a moot thing, but, I wasn't clear about that I read everything and I couldn't tell whether it was going to be a foundation dug down or not. So this would depend on that. If there's rocks dug up, where would they be moved? And anyway, those are my questions.
So your house is somewhere over in here?
My house is at, let me see.
I'm trying to figure out where you're at.
Okay. Where's this is Tadmuck Brook.
Yeah.
I'm right here. So
So
there's
you're-
the
there's-
road.
right, and there's
Right
a-
in through here, I have like a driveway here.
Yeah.
The house is roughly in there.
Okay.
And my leaching field's roughly in here somewhere, and it goes down. I don't know that much about it.
Doesn't seem like they're increasing, the only thing that'd be roof drainage that I could see that would be an increase in runoff, and we could have them do a dry well or something like that, or,
Gutters and dry wells,
Yeah,
so it's being
so-
directly infiltrated as opposed to, and then, and again, that kind of comes back to my questions as to, where.
I mean, there's actually a fair amount of distance between what's being proposed and the property line.
Right, so the addition itself is proposed approximately 75 feet from the property line. I think a leach field needs to be at least 10 or maybe 20 feet
think
off
10.
of property. Okay, so let's go conservative, we'll
Yeah.
say 10. So that would be, the addition is 85 feet away from your property line.
Or from the leach.
From the leach field, at
Yeah.
the closest possible point, right, if it's in that position. We are taking the patio and we're removing it and we're doing the addition, so it's,
Impervious to impervious.
impervious to impervious, but we are doing the infiltration trench,
Yeah.
Yeah, which I appreciate.
which will provide some mitigation that isn't already there right now. So,
And the trench is gonna be sized to accept all the water off the addition.
yes.
And you'll need to draft order of conditions,
Yes, and I think we're planning on going out Tuesday to review the wetland flagging.
Yes.
In terms of, if you think you can get answers to the commission, the additional information by the end of next week, I think that special conditions for the commission and the applicant's consideration for the meeting on the 24th.
now you don't have to go with before any of the boards.
I don't think
No.
so.
Okay.
I don't think so, I think you're it.
Okay. We don't like to close before other people.
Right.
Okay. So we're looking, and you still need to get a DP?
There is a file number. It
Okay.
came Monday, I think, got issued
Okay.
Monday.
So that's not holding us up. Okay, so.
Continue the public hearing, yeah.
To January 24th.
Please.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
And request for certificate of compliance for
5 Island Path.
the 5 Island Path Road.
Okay, so the commission may recall that we had an order of conditions issued for the installation of a dock. And one of the requirements was that we install the dock in the summertime and then remove it, at the appropriate time in the fall. And we have done that and was to wait a year. And I have you have them up there.
Yeah.
I have photographs there as well, so.
Okay, so, can I have a
See-
motion to issue a certificate of compliance?
Thank you very
for
much for the information.
DEP
Second.
file number 334-1815. All those in favor? Aye.
Great, thank you. Have a good night.
Yep. Okay, moving on to our other 8 PM agenda item. Ratify emergency certificates for the town of Westford's Department of Public Works. Take it away, Matt.
The current acting DPW director, based upon the December 18th rain events, 2 culverts failed, one culvert failed, and sinkholes were developing around a second culvert. The first was for at Tenney Road, probably about 150 feet in from Dunstable Road. As evident in the photos where there's just caverns beneath 4 inches of pavement. That was a threat to public safety. I issued a emergency certification for the replacement of those culverts. Additionally, at Chamberlain Road, right at the just south of its intersection with Aldrich, I think, Aldrich Farms. No photos, but I do have a plan of the proposed pipe and the elevations to maintain the existing conditions of the wetlands on both sides. As the sinkholes were observed, they were becoming a threat to public safety, and due to the large retainage of the large volume of water being held upstream of the as a means to mitigate to provide mitigate the threat to public safety. An additional emergency certification for this 12-inch pipe. I think this was 12-inch includes the installation of a 12-inch HDPE pipe. I can answer any of the commission's questions. If not, I would request they ratify both emergency certificates.
Motion to ratify the emergency certificates.
Second.
For County Road and for Chamberlain Road?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Matt. And last but not least, request support for the FY24 applications for Community Preservation Act funding.
I was hoping to have the actual applications for the commission to review, based upon the commission's last discussion at their last meeting.
Just going to say that the meeting that we have coming up, which is next Tuesday, we have no applications yet. So you're okay.
Yeah. I think the filing deadline's Friday for them to come in, so 2 days to.
Nobody's handed one in yet, is what I'm telling you. We expect about 10.
Has the meeting been posted?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 4 projects as previously discussed, one, $190,000 for additional land acquisition, approximately $50,000 to update the open space and recreation plan, with which I received the support of the Parks and Recreation Commission at their meeting on Monday night.
Get a letter from them.
Yeah. Additional funding to complete the O'Brien Farm footbridge, to offset the difference between what was previously appropriated and what we're seeing to be the costs of contractors, and then a assessment and inventory of hire a consultant to assess and inventory conservation lands and provide management recommendations over 2 years, as previously discussed. Like I said, I wanted to have the applications for you all, but it's been a little wet.
The first one was the 190 that we always asked for.
Yes.
Okay.
So 4 applications, and just an update on that.
Okay.
Without any objections, we have our support with those 4 applications.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion to support
Okay, sure.
the 4 applications outlined by Matt?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to discussion and action items.
I do not have any update for the Stony Brook Conservation Area User Concern Follow-up. I do not have any update for the Edwards Woods Conservation Area Restoration of Disturbed Areas.
Outstanding.
I have received some additional phone calls regarding the discontinued road between Providence Road and Kersey Circle. I'm looking to still see if a contiguous group of abutters within the abandoned road or discontinued road would like to seek grant. Yeah, I'm still waiting to get a contiguous group, but that's the extent of that. I do not have an update on the Summer Village Conservation Restriction Amendment update. Freedom Park improvements, I think we'll probably have something for the commission's next meeting.
Yeah, Noel and his son took care of the most,
Nicely done.
pressing safety issue.
That board got fixed nicely.
Yeah, I asked Mark, I said, do you have any, you gave me the dimensions, I said, Mark, do you have anything in your pile? And he said, it'll be easier to go up to Home Depot and get some new ones than try to dig them out. So we got the boards, and you guys did the work, and the safety issue was resolved. And it just, yeah, Marisha has come with a list of suggestions, and Matt and I need to collaborate on a thoughtful response to her input. And we need to be working with the scouts to come up with a plan for work to partner on for the spring.
Excellent.
Okay.
The J Agricultural Conservation Land, the request to extend the lease, I have not heard back from the lessee. I will follow up and hope to have an update for the commission pertaining to the 2023 rental fee or license fee and the soil testing. The conservation restriction number 29, Jarvis Hill Estates, vegetation cutting. Yes, and so beginning of December, there were the Westford Conservation Trust and some of the trail members in walking conservation restriction number 28 of the Jarvis Hill Estates. They observed some trees being cut in at the northerly extent of it. They've documented the photos, and they've inventoried so that they could kind of monitor if additionals were being cut down. A police report, kind of concurrently with a police report being filed regarding the cutting of the trees, I sent a letter to the suspected property owner,
Suspected property owner, didn't he tell the police officer that he cut the trees?
And I'm saying, at the time I sent the letter, it was the suspected property, the suspected property owner who was, doing it to educate them about, the conservation, about their property boundary.
Why did they cut them?
That's, I don't have.
Got it, okay.
And as stated concurrently, the police, one of the patrolmen from the police department followed up on an incident report. The redacted version was provided to the commission. This was also provided to the homeowners, the homeowners association, or my contact at the homeowners association, and members of the Westford Conservation Trust, as they are co-grantees of the conservation restriction. In turn, they have, kind of, I wanted to get the commission's, and maybe it's, what would the commission like to do?
How about replanting?
Well, my thought is, and so my first thought was, I would like the homeowner to come in, tell us why the trees were cut, and was the homeowner aware who owned the property where he was cutting trees? Because there's.
What was the last one? I didn't understand that.
So was the homeowner aware of whose property he was cutting trees on? Because.
Well, did he think it was his, or, I mean, if not, it had to be somebody
But
else's.
did you say the police department got involved?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he admitted.
Would they have asked that question?
If they did, it's redacted.
Oh.
Right, I mean,
I see what
in
you're
the
looking
police
at.
report, it does, the patrolman made contact with the homeowner, advised him for the reason for being there, admitting to
they
cutting
redact?
down the trees, but having moved to Westford from England, was not familiar with the conservation rules and law.
They have rules in
I
England
don't-
that says
I-
it's okay to cut other
no,
people's trees.
it's-
That's correct.
I don't think they have that rule.
Yeah.
So, what would the commission, at the pleasure of the commission?
I just want them to replant. I don't care.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
have them restore
I
what he
don't need
cut.
them in front of me.
How many were cut?
Sure.
I think,
16.
I saw 12 somewhere.
yeah, I think it was in various sizes of, I mean, from,
We do one for
you know,
one.
saplings.
Not with bigger.
Yeah, I mean, some certainly were
Some
bigger,
looked
but,
like they were like this.
Yeah. 6 inch, yeah, easy.
So again, what would the commission, you know.
I like
per-
the idea
per-
of bringing him in, asking him why he did what he did, and then as a matter of, mitigation, have him replant what he cut.
That's gonna be uncomfortable.
Why?
Okay.
Not everything is meant to be
Maybe
easy.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking
I
it's
just,
okay.
yeah, I mean, we're just interested in why, and it just,
I mean, again, part of it is also the commission is the CR. The CR was granted to the commission. We can certainly, I can certainly discuss with the homeowners association, who is the property owner, what they would like, them as the property owner, what their, prerogative is, what would they like to,
What would they like the
We
commission
have
to
the
do
CR, so
beside
we should be
report?
like enforcing it and say, hey, you.
Well, I don't know.
I don't see that.
but can we force trees to be planted on somebody else's property as the grantee?
We hold the CR, don't we?
But that doesn't give you that's not, carte blanche for, I don't know. This is an
I like the idea of bringing whoever cut the trees in to find out why they did it. And I like the idea that if we can get them to replant what they cut, that would be, a fair way to proceed.
And who
What
owns
did
the
the police
property?
do? What did the
The,
police?
the adjacent homeowners association.
HOA, okay.
Excuse me, Marilyn?
Sorry, what did the policemen do?
That report.
right, they followed up.
They went to find out what happened, somebody, okay. So that was, all right, and we don't know from this report, which I can't read like that.
Well, it said it says, let me see, I would.
The reasons for
Copy of this
cutting,
report to the
admitted to
cons-
cutting down the
to
trees, but having moved to Westford, England, was not familiar with the conservation rules. I advised him that I would be forwarding a copy, but no, so he felt like cutting them down, so he cut them down. That's what it feels like.
Trying out his chainsaw, maybe.
So
I mean, this ain't a kid,
No, I just want him to replant
Well,
them,
it's-
but I don't care about,
I agree.
I
We
don't
should
care
have him
about
in
what he.
and just stop.
Well, but some of it is,
You could educate him, I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't understand.
but some of it is, yes, if he replants sapling stock, yes, they will grow faster than new seedlings.
Well, we tell him what to do, but do we really want him here so he can be shamed, so that we can then?
Well, but some of it is.
You think it's gonna be education?
yes.
Well, some of it is,
When they're allowed to do this.
well, no, but it
They're
just.
not.
I didn't think so.
Well,
No, I don't.
okay, so
All I
where
could
I,
think of was that guy the other guy who was here, who went crazy, didn't want his name out. Okay, go
so
ahead.
where I was going was, did he know whose property he was cutting trees on? Because one of my thoughts was, installing markers along the edge of the CR property where it borders the, Little Bear Hill.
People live.
Yeah, is so that there's something clear that,
Something of demarcation.
yes, is signs along the stone wall. There is nothing along the stone.
There's a stone wall.
That's an interesting piece, that
Yeah.
I would support that.
So marking that explains that this is,
And who's gonna put those in?
that he would pay for it.
You know what? Well, yeah, I was gonna say, that would be like, almost
We should
like a
probably
Boy
talk
Scout.
to this man or woman, I don't know who it is, and then probably talk with the owners.
Yes.
'Cause we can't just say, you gotta plant this, do this, put these stickers up.
Right.
We'll have to, we can make that as a suggestion to the homeowners association, Jarvis Estates, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Jarvis Hill Estates.
Yeah.
And then see what they wanna do. We should have a discussion with them. I like that idea.
Yeah,
We can talk with the.
I like
person
that.
Person redacted in this report, and then we
Not this
talk
guy,
with the
but that.
homeowners association.
Well, it just is, and because for me, the underlying thing is not so much that he cut on CR property, he cut on somebody else's.
Yeah, it's not like it was his own.
And I mean, if he thought it was his own, then that's a different
I don't wanna
issue.
hear that, yeah.
But it just, and some of it is, we want to understand why, because understanding why is a great way to keep it from happening again.
Let's bring them in, whoever. Let's have a chat.
It just, bring him in reminds me of a police procedural. Yeah, but it just, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, invite him in, it just, yes, we would like more information, we want to understand the situation. And then we take it from there.
Do we want to have someone from the homeowners association in too, so that we can collaborate?
Yeah,
with them?
I can connect with them.
I think it should be a joint piece, because all the parties who are interested would like to see a resolution, would like to prevent this from happening again.
Yes.
Then I'll also invite and coordinate with the Westford Conservation Trust as they are
Yes.
And you might,
they are
you might talk it over
co-grantees.
with them and see if they're, you know, if they think this is the way to.
They've already offered some options. Let's. I know at least where.
I think we have enough to move forward. Let's move on.
Okay,
Beats us to death.
so a request for certificate, okay, so minutes for December 13th. I
They
agree.
always look good.
Yep.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes for December 13th, 2023?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I guess we're out of stuff.
Oh, thank goodness.
Did anybody stop out to? I know it was included in the email. Did anybody stop out to Monadnock Drive?
Friday.
Gold stars for. Just want
I just, yeah,
It wasn't organized. There was,
Well,
it
it
was just in advance of the.
well, and it was just,
We stopped before the snow and today, because it's on our way to Belleville.
it really struck me that that whole channel coming, the swale has really been dug up. I mean, it was just so much was bare dirt. It's like, it's gonna erode away. So, anyway, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.